devastating security breach.
That was leaked out of the Pentagon?
The most highly classified documents of the war.
The New York Times was barred from publishing any more classified documents dealing with the Vietnam War.
If you publish, we'll be at the Supreme Court next week.
Meaning?
Well, we could all go to prison. What will happen if we don't publish? We will lose. The country will lose.
The Pentagon Papers was a critical study in process of the history of the United States involvement in the Vietnam War. But even before there was a war, starting at the end of World War II. And it showed that we were really fighting an illegal war, and an unwinnable war, a war that the study stated was unwinnable.
Times has 7,000 pages detailing how the White House has been lying about the Vietnam War for 30 years. Let's do our jobs. Find those pages.
I had Tom Hanks for our 5th film together as an actor-director partnership. And it's the first time Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks have ever acted together. That was an honor to witness that and be part of that.
The day that Tom and then Meryl walked into the newsroom when they were doing their makeup and hair test, they were jaws dropped. Because they became them. Because that kind of actor becomes the character.
As soon as I read it, I counted it up, the scenes I had with Meryl. How many do I have with Meryl? How many times am I going to get to have that opportunity?
Do you have the papers?
If we publish this, we could all go to prison.
Okay, it's your decision.
What's next?
Our movie takes place over the course of 2 or 3 weeks only, but it's enough time to get a snapshot of where this woman and all women fell in the line of decision makers. There just weren't very many women at all in any positions of power anywhere. It's a particularly lonely thing to do, to try to stand up under those circumstances. But everybody in this film does that. Every single person has risk attached to the decision that they make.
She grew up as a part of this, social circle of government representatives, senators, the president. These people were part of her world as a child and all through her life as her dad ran the Post. And can she do something that's going to really make enemies, potentially, of her lifelong friends and her social circle?
Politicians and the press, they trusted each other so they could go to the same dinner party and drink cocktails and tell jokes while there was a war raging in Vietnam.
I don't know what we're talking about. I'm not protecting Linda.
No, you got his former Secretary of Defense, Robert McNamara, the man who commissioned this study. He's one of about a dozen party guests out on your
patio. I'm not protecting any of them.
patio.
I'm protecting the paper.
If you run the story, you'll go to jail, and you'll affect the stock offering. You'll hurt. Mrs. Graham is going to be responsible for it. You could ruin everything if you decide to go against the Nixon White House and the Justice Department. But Ben Bradley and many other people there just said, there's no reason to have a First Amendment if we can't do this. And so it was an extremely dangerous call at the time. Now it's like, you can print almost anything and nobody says boo.
You know what my husband said about the news. He called it the first rough draft of history.
If she published these papers, she was going to make enemies of people in her social circle.
That moment, they could have lost everything. And the owner of the paper, the publisher of the paper, Katharine Graham, had to decide if she was willing to jeopardize her family's legacy, the paper, thousands of jobs, if they were shut down.
One guy, Fritz, who was played by Tracy Letts, who was saying you have to be careful, you can't get in trouble by publishing this stuff. And she had Ben Bradley, played by me, who was saying we are nothing but a second-rate backwater newspaper unless we find this story and run it ourselves. And it is about as clear a yin and a yang, a good or bad decision that Kay Graham had to make, as personified by Meryl Streep. So it's really that story.
You're talking about exposing years of government secrets.
Is that legal?
What is it you think we do here for a living, kid?
This movie's about the truth. And so in
digging for the truth, we wanted to go to the people that were responsible for telling the truth.
We don't have any competition. There's dozens of stories in here. The Times has barely scratched the surface. We have 10 hours till the deadline, so we dig in.
Ben Bradley was the commander-in-chief of the newsroom. And maybe Kate Graham was the commander-in-chief of the news organization with her television holdings and other publications. But he was the captain of that ship.
He loved the business and he loved what the job was. He loved what the job was to find the truth, discern what it is, and put it out there and let people decide for themselves.
Do you have the papers?
Not yet.
She was not the confident Katharine Graham that people came to know as the first head of a Fortune 500 company. You know, she was someone very unsure of herself and not born to manage a major company. And also she was the product of her time, where women weren't expected to do much outside the realm of good works, good child raising and household keeping.
The only couple I knew that both Kennedy and LBJ wanted to socialize with was you and your husband, and you owned the damn paper.
You watch Katharine Graham grow into the job. You know, she's entitled, she's empowered with tremendous authority, which she doesn't use all the time, because she hadn't yet found her voice. And it was great within this span of time and through this huge event, whether to publish or not publish the Pentagon Papers, you got to watch this woman find her voice.
Okay, people are concerned about having a woman in charge of the paper, that she doesn't have the resolve to make the tough choices.
Thank you, Arthur, for your frankness.
I cannot imagine anybody else playing Katharine Graham. It was an extraordinary transformation. I don't know how Merill did it, and I'm the director.
If we don't hold them accountable, who will?
We can't hold them accountable if we don't have a newspaper.
There's not a moment in which she is not reacting to you, and none of it is preordained. It was magical.
What are you going to do, Mrs. Graham?
Every time we work together, Tom continues to surprise me, and Tom brought the essence of Ben to life in his portrayal of Ben Bradley.
He just knew that he had a big personality. He knew that he had an interest and a curiosity. He knew he had the tools, both as a classic journalist, but also as that motivator of people, that person that could not just cajole, but could also challenge and move forward. He knew that he never lied, and no one who ever spoke to him ever dared lie. But if it was bad news, he took it the same way as he took good news, which is, all right, well, let's deal with this and let's get on to whatever the next step was.
Everyone knows he's got the reputation of being the nicest guy, but he's also really smart. And that's a thing that he shared with Ben Bradley, how just a few steps ahead of everybody he is in the room.
Tom's a blast. I mean, he's really the epitome of an actor being in the moment, and that's what he does for himself and for everyone around him.
Tom has a wonderful way of enveloping you and inviting you in, and that's, it's an incredible accessibility.
We got less than 8 hours.
We could shoot for City, then we'd have 10.
Hey, for the last 6 years, we've been playing catch-up, and now thanks to the President of the United States, who, by the way, has taken a shit all over the First Amendment, we have the goods.
We're absolutely panicked, because this was one of those movies where you couldn't pretend it wasn't a big deal. It's Meryl Streep. You're looking at a call sheet going, it's Meryl Streep, and it's Tom Hanks, and it's this one, it's that one, Steven Spielberg, and Janusz, and all these incredible people from, you know, in every department. And it was impossible not to feel apoplectic about the whole thing. And I know everyone felt this way.
It was just all sort of fell into place, so as if this project in 2017 was kind of meant to happen.
Instead of going this slow to here, he's going to go this slow to here, but then he's going to go a little faster to reveal himself, okay?
It's not the full report, but it's over 4,000 pages of it.
Huh. Are these in order?
I don't think so.
There are no page numbers.
Yeah, that's where the top secrets
I've been very blessed in having great ensemble casts on everything that required an ensemble company.
And let me see, can you go this way?
I just find making movies to be a team, collaborative effort. I don't believe in movies. It's not an autocracy, you know, in film. It really is, you know, gathering the best ideas together to tell the best type of story. And I had the most amazing collaborators on this one.
It's improvisatory, his filmmaking, which shocked me. I don't know what I was expecting. I guess I thought he would, you know, have his sort of way that he liked to do things. But, I mean, we came in there, no rehearsal. No rehearsal. That really shocked me. You just go in and start shooting.
Stíven is, he's a great regulator of the tempo and the timbre of a scene. He will ignore moments that you think are important and come in specifically on moments that you didn't even see as being all that necessary.
What surprised me the most about working with him is how funny he is. He's incredibly funny and incredibly inquisitive, just asking me a million questions, everything from like our favorite flavor of jelly bean to, you know, world peace. I mean, he really was a genuinely inquisitive, curious person, which is why I think his movies are so wonderful, because they're filled with such nuanced detail about human behavior, which is, I think, what impacts you most as a viewer is when you see yourself up there in some way.
So, can I ask you a hypothetical question?
Oh, dear, I don't like hypothetical questions.
Well, I don't think you're gonna like the real one either.
It's the most miraculous cast. I mean, every single person in every one of your favorite TV shows is in the movie, and all of them are some of the greatest actors working. And the fact that all those people wanted to be in the movie, and wanted to be in the movie was because of what the movie was and because it was Stíven. It was a joy.
Everybody shines. Everybody was invested in making it work. And when you get great actors, and these are great actors, all sort of pulling the oars of a ship, and it just goes faster and faster. It's just very, very exciting.
I think stories like this with great actors like Merill and Tom are important because I think they remind younger people that they actually have it in them to have the strength of will to resist things that they know are wrong, and that they actually do have a responsibility to do that.
You may know about the Pentagon Papers, you may know about Kay Graham, you may know about Ben Brantley. What you don't know about is their personal investment and what it cost them and what was at stake for them personally. And that is something that I think is worth investigating and worth watching and worth knowing about.
To risk her fortune and the company that's been her entire life, well, I think that's brave.
If we don't hold them accountable, who will?
We can't hold them accountable if we don't have a newspaper.
Nixon will muster the full power of the presidency, and if there's a way to destroy you, by God, he'll find it.
I'm asking your advice, Bob, not your permission.
What are you going to do, Mrs. Graham?